Celtic Football Club are one of the most dominant sides in any nation in world football. The Scottish club have won over 50 Premiership titles spanning from the 1800s to recently under the likes of Neil Lennon, Ange Postecoglou and of course Brendan Rodgers. On a European front though, despite a valiant effort recently against Bayern Munich, their only title win came in 1967, but other than that they're yet to win another European title. So today I'm going to step in as Celtic manager with 5 years, not just to make the club great, but to take them to Champions League glory. Now granted, on a domestic front, we should be expecting things to be fairly easy. With great facilities, a massive stadium, and a huge reputation, it's not like Celtic aren't used to success. And as mentioned, they have plenty of trophies in the cabinet. In fact, they're the most decorated side in all of Scottish football. They're just lacking real European pedigree, with that Champions League win coming in 67 and nothing since. But as they've proved recently in Europe, Celtic's team isn't one to be snubbed. In fact, they've got plenty of great players in their ranks. According to Football Manager, our best is the Scottish international Callum McGregor, whilst American defender and former Tottenham man Cameron Carter-Vickers holds down the defence, and 26-year-old Rio Hatate is one of many Asian stars in Celtic's ranks. But Celtic have got some great young talents too, who could potentially go on to do big things in their career. Barcelona loanee Alex Varley is a fantastic option at left back. Currently at LAFC on loan, Norwegian 21-year-old Odin Thiago Holm could go to the top, but undoubtedly the best young star in the team is the under-21 Belgian international Ernie Engels. So we have got a very good squad, and whilst it might not be one that's going to be able to challenge in Europe just yet, domestically we should be perfectly fine. And Football Manager seems to agree with the club expected to cruise the league title. Yes, Rangers could challenge, but we've got 8 to 15 odds. We should be cleaning up here in Scotland. In fact, if we don't win all the trophies here, it's probably not even considered a successful year. But like I say, I want a challenge in Europe, and to do that we're going to need to make this club stronger. But in season 1 the budgets aren't exactly great. £2.5 million to spend, £40,000 a wage budget. It's not exactly the kind of money a Champions League winning club would have, but hey, we need to work our way up. We need to build this club, sell on some players for profit, and hopefully put us in a position where by year 5 we can start to challenge. And our first transfer window, I would say, was pretty successful. Normally I say, oh, we had to sell these players to bring people in, but actually we managed to work our funds around a little bit, and we've brought in 2 top talents for our side. Don't worry, this isn't one of them. I made 3 transfers. One was a little understated, and it was this guy, Kieran Slicker, a 21-year-old Scottish under-21 international who we signed from Ipswich, formerly of Manchester City, for only 120k. He'll be our third choice goalkeeper. It's nothing crazy, but our other 2 players I think are great. Coming in first is a player from South Africa, Rivaldo Coetzee, a 27-year-old international for his country who can play anywhere in that lower base of the spine, but I see him as a centre-back with some of the best passing range you will ever see. He's not physically imposing, he's not quick or strong or anything like that, or even tall, but he's got 18 passing, 17 off the ball work. He's determined with great positioning, vision and technique. One of the best ball-playing centre-backs you'll see. Just hopefully he can live up to the physicality needed here in Scotland. But even if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because we only paid £350,000 for him, rising to 400k, a bargain for a player worth 3 mil. But undoubtedly, the star of this window, a player that comes in as one of our best already, is Alvaro Fidalgo, a 27-year-old former Spanish under-21 international, valued at £8 million, who we picked up for $2 million from Club America, formerly of Real Madrid. This is a brilliant talent who I think is going to take very nicely to the Scottish leagues, can play as a 10 or as a central midfielder, great mentally, great technically, and whilst his physicals might lack a little bit, this is going to be the kind of player that will dictate the tempo and create all the chances for our team. And that was our job done. We didn't really make any major sales, but I think this team is now in a very good place. In fact, our best 11, in my opinion, looks to be very strong, particularly over here in Scotland. In goal, we have the legendary Kasper Schmeichel, who might be the son of Peter Schmeichel, but has made his name in his own right across across the course of his career. Canadian Alistair Johnston is our best right back, whilst Cameron Carter-Vickers partners with another American in Austin Trusty, who completes that centre-back partnership. Greg Taylor is considered our best left back, but Alex Varley will try and push him all season, whilst Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor, who we both met, make up our best midfield in a 4-2-3-1 shape, which sees Fidalgo flanked by James Forrest, and on the left, Louis Palmer, who isn't actually at the club currently. He's out on loan at Olympiacos, but the game does rate him as our best left winger, and our best striker is supposedly Dejan Maeda, but in-game, he's not rated very highly at all, so I expect Adam Maeda will compete with that position, and you might see Maeda come in on that left wing spot, but either way, we're now ready to go in Season 1, and in fact, with the new signings we've made, our odds have shifted slightly to 4-9 to win the league, and I'm not doing the maths, so I don't know if that's better or worse than what we had before, but either way, we're expected to cruise it. We're expected to go out, win the Scottish Championship, but the real test for me will be to see just how well we do in Europe. And in our first year at Celtic, I think we've learnt a lot about where our team is at. Now, I said I wanted to win the Champions League in 5 years. This has proved to me it might take a bit longer, and trust me, if it takes more than 5 seasons, we're not going to stop until we win the UCL. But this year, it didn't quite go to plan. Granted, we did get a fantastic result beating Bayern Munich 5-2 at our home stadium, but other than that, we were getting battered wherever we went. Whether it was against Bologna, Manchester City, or whoever else, we got smashed. So our first foray into Europe didn't exactly go to plan. In fact, we didn't make it out of the first stages of the Champions League, but at least in the league, we put on a great show. We won a ton of games, but it wasn't just us doing that. Rangers pushed us all the way, and with 3 games to go in the season, we got a massive 1-0 victory as Alistair Johnston powered home to get us the win. And with Rangers breathing down our neck on the last day of the season, we had to secure victory to claim that title, and thankfully, Adam Maeda scored the only goal of the game against Aberdeen to give us the trophy. And to be honest with you, it's a very good job we won that competition, because in the Premier Sports Cup, Aberdeen knocked us out 1-0, and in the Scottish Cup, we had a early 4th round exit to Hibernian. And in the league, we did manage to win it as I mentioned, but we only just edged out Rangers on goal difference. 3 goals was what made the difference in a 92-point joint season. We lost too many games, we drew too many. Thankfully, Rangers did the same, but we definitely need to be better going forward. In fact, if we hadn't have won the title there and came out the season trophyless, there's a good chance we would have lost our jobs. But this year, we've certainly been able to find the players to build around. If we have a look, Rio Hatate was an incredible talent for us, 9 goals, plenty of assists, and our best average rating. Alvaro Fidalgo came into the team and scored 18 and assisted 8 in what was a 21 goal total season. Greg Taylor was excellent from left wing back and proved that Alex Varley might be a star in the future, but right now isn't able to make the team. And Adam Maeda was a great goal scorer. He might not look amazing, but he managed to bag 29 goals in all competitions. And it wasn't just him. I mean, Forrest scored 11, Ernie Engels scored 6, Liam Scales with 2, Callum McGregor chipped in. Lots of top performers, lots of great players from all around the pitch. But this is where our journey really starts, as we have a proper transfer budget now. We don't have to worry about all the transfers Celtic have already made. We have a full budget of 70 million, 150 grand the wage budget, and this is where the fun begins. We're going to get rid of a bunch of these guys, bring in some of our own players, and make a team that I'm hoping won't get battered everywhere we go in Europe. Okay, strap yourselves in for our second transfer window, our first proper one, because we've made a ton of sales and a bunch of, I think, very good incomings. Before we see them though, if you would be able to like the video, I massively appreciate it. I won't keep you too long, but as you can imagine, with FM being out for a long time now and FM25 not coming out, views are down and whatnot, so any support I can get from you guys with those likes, hitting the subscribe button, getting involved in the comments, it helps push this video out. So thank you to anyone who does that. And speaking of subscribing, make sure you do so on the road to 50k subs. We're slowly getting there, so any support will be massively appreciated. But with that being said, let's go and see the sales that we've made. The first thing we should note is Kasper Schmeichel, our goalkeeper, has left. He's retired and is now available as a manager. I've also moved on 27-year-old Luke McGowan. He's gone to play for Maccabi Tel Aviv out in Israel for 325k. It's nothing crazy, but I wasn't going to use him at all, so let's move him on. 25-year-old defensive option Stephen Welsh has also departed. Again, another player that I just didn't really see being a long-term option, so we've sold him to Lask for 425,000. And then our only other sale was a massive one, a player that I don't actually know in real life, so I have no idea how this has happened. His name is Gustav Lagerbielke. He wasn't even at Celtic last year. In fact, they bought him for 2.9 million, loaned him to FC Twente, where he's done well enough in the Eredivisie that Al Ittihad came in for a bid of 10 mil. And to be honest, because I didn't know he existed, because he was on loan, I've already kind of papered over him with the signings that we've made, so there was no real place for him. So when there was interest, I thought, you know what, let's let him go. And he's now earning 500 grand a week, so yeah, a bit of a weird bit of business here, but we've sold him for mega money, and good luck to the Swede. So with those sales, we have obviously raised our budget even more, and we've brought in 5 players that I think take us to another level. But if you are enjoying this rebuild and you'd like to get involved with it yourself, you can actually find this rebuild file and every other save file from all the rebuilds that we've done over on Patreon, linked in the description. Over there, I'll be totally honest, it is the best way to support me. Each penny I get from it currently goes back into the channel for an editor, for a thumbnail designer, and all of those things to hopefully keep this good content, well, at least I think it's good, coming to you guys. And in return, obviously, yes, you get to support me, but you do get the save files. You also get to watch the videos early. The rebuilds are usually up on Patreon a day or so before, totally ad-free viewing as well. And we do rebuild polls too to decide what rebuild we want to see next. So if you've got a suggestion, you can message me over on there, and hopefully we can get it going. So thank you to anyone who checks it out. Thank you to everyone who's already supported me over there. The 30 odd or so people that we've got as paid members currently really do mean the world, so thank you to you guys. But let's get into the signings that we've made. Let's start off with the cheapest one, because it's only a loan deal. We're paying about £1 million over the course of a season for Chelsea's Brazilian striker David Washington. Now, he came in from Santos for big money. Chelsea haven't really used him, of course, but he's rated highly. He comes in now to give Adam Maeda some proper competition in that striker spot. Maeda was playing mainly on the wing last year. We'll see whether Washington can step up to the plate, but clearly there's a player there. We then have a free transfer coming in, the 27-year-old Morlai Silla, who our scouts were raving about, and you can see why. Gifted in all aspects of his game. He's a number 10, a Ghanaian international, who we pick up having left his contract in Arouca, where he's been very good over in Portugal with some great average match ratings. He's got a lot of pros in his coach report. He is someone that I'm hoping will be a top talent for us. But there's 3 players we paid real money for, 3 young talents for the future. The first one is Christian Mosquera, a Spanish under-21 international who's 6'3" and a physical monster. He may be not the best ball-playing defender in the world, but he is going to be a big player to build around, I hope. He played regularly for Valencia last year, didn't play great, mind you, but for 5 million, it's an investment for the future, and one that I'm hoping will turn out well, considering he is now valued at 20 mil. For just a bit more, at 5.5 million, we've bought in a Norwegian 25-year-old international, who is bought in not just for his talent, but his versatility. This is Hakon Evjen, who can play as a 10, as a centre mid, on the right, or even at left back and left wing, if you really wanted to. He's considered one of our best players, valued at 15 million, and he's great technically and mentally. Maybe not the best physically, but the 5'10" right winger, I think, is going to be a great option cutting in. He comes from Bodo Glimt. He's formerly been at AZ Alkmaar, Brøndby. He's done the tour really, but as a left footer coming in off that right hand side, I think he could be deadly. But our biggest chunk of money went on our biggest problem position, our goalkeeper spot, where currently we had no concrete number 1. So in comes Chris Brady, ranked very highly with huge potential. This is an American 21-year-old completing that American defence with Carter Vickers and Trusty, coming in for 6.5 million, rising to 7 from Chicago Fire in the MLS. It's big money for Celtic, but I'm hoping it will reap the rewards with a goalkeeper that could go to the very top. And as we head into season 2, already our best 11 is looking pretty different from what we inherited. Chris Brady comes in as the only real change in the defence, but Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor now have a completely new look forward line from what they initially would have had, with Evjen, Silla, Fidalgo and David Washington in front of them. We've kind of built from the front first. Really, next season we might want to start working on those defensive positions, but we're sticking with a 4-2-3-1 currently. The team is looking good, and if we have a look at the season preview, of course we're expected to win pretty much everything, both by the board but also the media in game, who think we're going to cruise the league with 4-11 title odds. We've got some of the best players in the division. In fact, if you look at the media Dream 11, it's pretty much all Celtic, so we're expected to do big things. The only real issue will be if we can handle the pressure, live up to it, and hopefully do a bit better in Europe this year. And being totally honest with you, I am very glad I said that this might not be 5 seasons and that we might just keep going until we win the Champions League, because I feel like we're nowhere near currently. In fact, this year in the league phase, we played 8 matches and we lost all 8. We got absolutely demolished. We came rock bottom of the Champions League table. Our only saving grace was our domestic form. Because this year we had managed to make a cup final, making it to the League Cup final against St Mirren, where we were able to demolish the side, beating them 4-0 in a comfortable victory. Now on top of that, we did also win the league. For the second year running, we absolutely demolished it. We steamrolled the opposition, and we could actually win a domestic treble if we could beat a club in the Scottish Cup final. The only issue is that it was Rangers. But we headed to Hampden Park with the bit between our teeth and managed to go 1-0 up from the penalty spot. And trying to right those wrongs of a poor European campaign to win everything domestically, we were soon 2-0 up after only 25 minutes. But Rangers aren't to be sniffed at in this save so far, not just pushing us in the first season, but making it 2-1 in the final. Thankfully though, a McGregor penalty in the second half put us 2 clear again, and in the 81st minute, we sealed the deal, asserting our dominance, Taylor winning the ball into Maeda, who finished well. And that completed a very strong domestic treble in what was, outside of Europe, a very good year. In fact, despite drawing 8 games, we only lost 2 all season, with an 86 goal difference and pulling way clear of Rangers this time. We managed to get 92 points while they got 84, and we absolutely dominated in a year where actually there were some surprise performers. In fact, Hearts had 2 of the best scorers in the division, which maybe tells you about an issue we had with goal scoring. I call it an issue, maybe it's a blessing really, that all of our goals were spread around the team. In fact, we had Adam Ida scoring 10 this year, mainly off the bench, because David Washington, whilst he might not have performed great, did manage to score 18 in the league and 23 in all comps. There was then 15 from Callum McGregor, Evian with 16, 14 from Fidalgo, Hatate with 12. We had goals from all over the pitch. Ernie Engels with 8, 9 from Morlai Silla. It was great to see so many players scoring, and we're not relying on one individual player, but that will explain why no one was topping the goal scoring chart. But either way, I think we can take this as progress. Yes, Europe, we got absolutely battered, but we are building a team here where everyone can contribute and we have a fully functioning unit domestically at the very least. Now though, we go into our 3rd season already with a £20 million budget, 164 grand of wages. Aaron Trusty has a bid coming in from Columbus Crew. We'll see what we want to do about that, but this is big money for Celtic. It's a lot of money to bring in some top tier players. We just need to start improving in Europe to raise our reputation, to be able to bring in the best stars and compete with some of the best clubs in the world. And as is typical in my rebuilds here on this channel, in year 1, we started slow with the budgets, then we went to, £20 million worth of transfers. Now we spent over 30 million, bought in pretty much the same, and we have had some major changes already at the club. Firstly, let's move through the sales, as Angry Ginge lookalike Adam Montgomery has moved to join FC Utrecht for a fee of 65k. We also see the departure of one of our own signings. Rivaldo Coetzee has gone to play for Angers out in France, came in for 400k, played pretty well in season 1, didn't appear as much next year, so to make a profit on him I think is a good deal, and he gets to go play in France. Anthony Ralston was a bit unlucky in this save with the fact that Alistair Johnston was just so much better than him, and for that reason he wasn't really playing all that much last year. In fact, only started twice, and for that reason he wanted to move, so off he goes to Montpellier for 1.5 mil. We also see the departure of Adam Ida, who goes to Besiktas for a fee of 5 million, where he's going to be probably their main man over in Turkey. Obviously the introduction of David Washington pushed him back in the pecking order a bit, but clearly he is a good forward, always scoring when we called upon him, but I think we've got someone better now. I've also moved on Paulo Bernardo to Braga, who was one of our better young players when we initially took over here. After he moved from Benfica, never really broke into the team for us, so now to sell him for, 8 million quid back to Portugal, it's not bad business in any sense. We then loaned out a South Korean winger, Yang Hyun-jun, over to Ulsan HD, a club out in South Korea, where hopefully he's going to continue his development. But a bigger sale was Aaron Trusty, who you saw had interest earlier from Columbus Crew. In the end, he got a bigger offer from Middlesbrough, and he has moved there in the Championship. 30 million, rising to 16, good money for a player that joined for 5 million only a couple years ago, who our scouts actually say isn't even that good. So you know what, we'll take that deal. And it meant we could splash some cash on some incomings. And firstly, we had a new backup left back. 23-year-old Andres Salazar is going to push Greg Taylor in that position. I had him in a save recently when we did the Hearts rebuild and he was unreal. In this save he went back to Atletico Nacional and we have picked him up for 500k on a bargain fee. But I want to keep the Scottish theme going in this club, so we've decided to move for Lennon Miller, age 19. He has gone back out on loan to Motherwell for the season, but he's rated very highly. We've bought him for 3.6 million, and he has the potential to be a regular player here at Celtic if he can keep growing. We then bought in a new left winger that can also play right wing back, centre back and striker, no idea how. His name is Roberto Alvarado. He's a Mexican international who was playing for Deportivo Guadalajara, has never left Mexico, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts, but at 5 million quid, this is someone I think could be a great option on the left. We have one new striker option with Ademaida and Washington leaving. I went for two, but our first one was Peter Ratkov, a 6'4", massive forward, 22 years of age with potential to get better, signing for only £5 million from Salzburg. We then had Jose Juan Macias, a 26-year-old Mexican international, coming in as a new forward, but also left wing option potentially, signing for 8.5 million from Santos Laguna, another player that outside of 1 year in Spain has only played in Mexico. And then we have a new centre-back to replace Aaron Trusty in the form of David Zima, a 25-year-old Czech Republic international with plenty of experience, a great 6'3" defender who is physically imposing whilst also being good with the ball at his feet, signing for £10 million, formerly of Torino 2. This is a player that I think could go to the very top with us if all goes well. So where do we stand with our best 11 currently? Well, in the goal, it's still Chris Brady, who had a decent first year at the club last season and is developing pretty nicely. We then have Alistair Johnston, Carter Vickers, the only ones that keep their place in that defence alongside Zima and Salazar, whilst Hatate McGregor continue to be our best centre-mid partnership with Evian, Fidalgo, Alvarado and Macias as that front four. But also there's plenty of players on the bench that are great too. Engels, Maeda, Greg Taylor, Ratkov, Naroki as well, who is a Polish defender who has developed very nicely, having been loaned out in Season 1 to the Polish division. So I feel like we're continuing to go in the right direction. We're expected to win the league by far. We are expected to cruise it, 1 to 4 title odds. We're only getting better, and the media Dream 11 is currently all Celtic players. So really, we should be absolutely smashing this. We should be cruising the league, and then hopefully we can go on to finally start doing well in Europe. At the same time, I have been working at the club's facilities, trying to make them better, raising the club situation. If you have a look financially, I'm not doing a bad job. For as much as I'm spending, there's still £95 million in the overall balance, nothing in the debts and loans. This Celtic club has the perfect situation here to go on to do big things. We just need to start getting it right, else before you know it, we'll be on year 4 with no European even wins really to our name. Okay, season 3 is done, and for once I can say in Europe we won some games. Yes, we actually did well enough in the league phase, picking up a few points to narrowly qualify for the knockout playoff round where we were drawn against Ajax. And to be expected, it was a very tough battle. Maybe not the worst game we could have had, but still, I think Ajax would have been favourites, and at our stadium they went 1-0 up through Pirot. But with the fans on our side, in the 75th minute, we started to gain some momentum. Navrocki into McGregor, who found Macias over the top, who brought it past the goalkeeper brilliantly to make it 1-1. And as time ticked on, in the 85th minute, a quick counter-attack allowed Holm to find Macias, who played through Deza Maeda, who scored the winner in leg 1. But at the Johan Cruyff Arena, it was a back and forth match, with Alvarado opening the scoring, and our 2-goal aggregate lead soon became a 3-goal lead as Fidalgo found Evian in the area, who powered home. And we thought it was job done at that point until Ajax started building. Taylor found a player called Pirot, who again scored against us. We were able to then put that 3-goal limit back on as Macias scored, but Ajax kept coming, and that man once again, Pirot, found Traore in the area. He pulled it back, and it was Jordan Henderson who scored, before another Ajax goal in the 90th minute as Kenneth Taylor powered home, putting them 1 behind us. But we managed to survive it, and that put us in the Champions League round of 16. We made it past the knockout round. The only issue is we were drawn against Real Madrid. And at Celtic Park, we suffered a barrage, shot after shot, but it was us who opened the scoring against Real. And we were so close to a historic win against Real Madrid until late on in the 93rd minute. A man called, I don't know if I've heard of him, Kylian Mbappe scored. So the first leg ended 1-1, a fantastic result, but that's really where the good times end. Because at the Bernabeu, they beat us 5-0. They dominated us, Tchouaméni, Vinicius, Mbappe, Valverde, players we cannot compete with 4xG, absolutely battering us for a 6-1 aggregate victory. Fear not though, we won the Scottish Cup, beating Partick Thistle 4-1, and despite losing out in the League Cup, we once again dominated in the league itself, with 3 losses, 4 draws, 90 goal difference, and plenty of points ahead of Rangers, who did well well enough on 89 points, but it's not quite 97, and we once again take the league title this year with 3 of the best players by average match rating, 3 of the best players in goal scoring, and 2 of the best creative players in the league also. Everyone is contributing in this system, everyone's doing well, and you can see the amount of players that scored goals for us. In fact, all of these players from Carter Vickers upwards, Thiago Holm, Navrocki, Taylor, Engels, Fidalgo, Evian, Alvarado, McGregor, Maeda, Hattati and Macias all scored a bunch. In fact, Macias had a great first year with 28, proving it was okay to let Adam Ida go. A fantastic year under our belt in Season 3. We managed to make the round of 16, and it might not be much progress, but it is slow progress. And now we head in to our next season with another sizable budget, £24,300,000 a wage budget. The reputation is still probably not high enough to attract the best of the best, but we are doing well, and I feel like in Season 4, with the right signings, maybe next time we can make that round of 16 a bit more comfortable and start pushing on into the later stages. And this is exactly what we like to see in a rebuild. Each year, the transfer windows are building, and this season, we have sold £50 million worth of players. We spent about 40 on incomings, and I still think we've improved this team. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments, so whilst you're down there, it's the last time I'll ask you, make sure you do smash that like button if you are still watching to this point. Subscribe as well, and be sure to check out that Patreon linked in the description below. But let's see who we signed and sold in Season 4. Firstly, we make £2 million on Luis Palma, who was starting off at Olympiakos in Greece, came back to us and did okay for 2 years, but now he goes back to Greece, to Athens for 2.2 million. He's been a Celtic man all his life, but Callum McGregor decided time was up and said he wanted a new challenge, so he went to Saudi Arabia for only about 2 million quid. Morlai Silla has moved on to Galatasaray for 4 million, not bad for a player that we bought him for free not long ago and flipping it into some decent money. And we've also seen Greg Taylor depart, having less game time last year with Salazar's introduction. He's moved to go play for Al Weda at age 30, so he gets that Saudi move as well for about 10 mil. Another player that we make some good money on is Roberto Alvarado, who goes back to Mexico, and you know what? At least I don't have to keep trying to pronounce that name anymore, but we made £10 million on him. Not bad considering we signed him last year for 5. But the biggest sale was Odin Thiago Holm, age 25. We've sold him to Saudi as well for around £13 million, having done okay for us since he came back from that first loan, but really, he wasn't crucial, and it made sense to let him go. And the players you're about to see coming in are exceptional. In fact, I think we've made some of our best business in any rebuild yet. It's that good. And for those wondering why we're currently in January, I've already recorded this bit, but then the video corrupted, so I'm now having to do it again halfway through the season, and you can see how well some of them are doing. Firstly, Manchester City man Omar Marmoush, a player that they've just spent big money on, has signed for Celtic on a free. 28 years of age, an Egypt international. How do you think he's doing in Scotland? Well, very well. 18 goals, 15 assists, and one of the best performances of any player that's ever been seen in the country. Speaking of big money signings joining us on a free, Anthony has joined us, obviously resurgent currently at Real Betis. In this world, he is again doing insanely well. Manu let him go for free, he comes to Celtic, he scored a goal a game and got 4 assists too, with a 7.8 to average match rating. This is only halfway through the year, so who knows how they're going to do by the end of it. We then spent 3.9 million on a new gen who's gone back out on loan for the year, a Norwegian international already at 18. Isaac Nordal is his name, 3.9 mil, and a player with a big future. Speaking of new gens, one comes straight into our team. It is Matthias Breithen, an 18-year-old wonder kid who we have picked up, Norwegian international centre-back from Molde for 4 million quid. Hasn't really made an impact yet, but will do in the future, I'm sure. Right back is bolstered yet again with the signing of Filippo Mizzori, the 23-year-old Italian. Is a great option in that fullback spot and has done well for us this year for a pretty small fee. I've also signed David Watson, a Scottish 22-year-old who our scouts found who's been doing very well and has came into the team and performed nicely. 5 million quid from Kilmarnock. Who would have thought he'd be better than some of the stars we've been buying? We've got another striker option as well up top now to compete with the ones we already have in Jude Soon-Sut-Bell, a Thai international formerly of Chelsea and Spurs who we have picked up from Cordoba for 5 million, where he's been running riot in La Liga too. And then for 12 million, we have a new left-back option with the signing of Patrick Dorgu, 23-year-old Danish defender, a big name right now at Manchester United. We've paid good money for him considering he was on the transfer list, never playing. I'm hoping he'll tear it up here in Scotland. So they're the signings we've made. Our squad got a whole lot better, and the game had as predicted absolutely smashed the league title yet again. But of course, we know the real aim is performing in Europe. Could we do it this year in Season 4? It's unlikely, but we'd give it a go. And what we're seeing slowly here with Celtic is steady improvement. Now granted, I don't think we'll have a Champions League actually winning chance for another 3 or 4 years yet minimum, but in Season 4, we've been doing much better. In fact, we once again made the knockout playoff rounds. We smashed through Fiorentina, making a round of 16 clash against Spurs. And I would say this was our best result of the whole rebuild so far. We absolutely smashed them at Celtic Park. Jude Soon-Suk-Bell scoring against his old club to make it 1. A Marmoush free kick made it 2. A free kick routine later on once again found Marmoush to make it 3. And we finished off the riot, managing to beat Spurs 4-0, Dorgu into Macias for a massive victory. We then beat them 3-2 away, meaning we beat Spurs 7-2 on aggregate, absolutely smashed it, leading to a quarter-final place against Man City. Now against City, we did so well, managing to go 1-0 up at home, which was fantastic considering if you asked me before the game, I thought we'd get battered, although before we knew it, 45 minutes on the clock, Marmoush made it 2 against his old club. City, though, have a very good team in this save with some top players, Erling Haaland being one, Vinicius Jr. being the other, and an injured Chris Brady gave him a goal. We then retaliated at the other end, though, with Macias making it 3-1 against the English Giants. But City refused to die, and in the 89th minute, Phil Foden made it 3-2. And all our good work was undone only 1 minute later. Already, with the score getting closer, Bernardo Silva found Haaland, his deflected shot, found Vinicius, and it was 3-3 on the night. So off to the Etihad we went with the scores level, but Haaland soon changed that, before adding another one from the spot late on. And whilst we did make a late fight back with Evian managing to find Rio Hatate into McDonald, it wasn't enough and we lost out to City in the quarter-final by only 1 goal though, so we really pushed them to the limits. We proved we can compete with these big teams, and maybe we'll actually be getting closer to that Champions League than I thought. Especially with some of the performances we've been having, because yes, our striker did great. Jude Soon-Suk-Bell came in and scored 32 goals this season, but he wasn't even our top goal scorer. Our wingers were now contributing massively. 36 goals from Anthony, 28 from Marmoush, 10 from Engels, and Evian with 14. That doesn't even count Fidalgo with 15, Macias still scoring 19. We were unreal, and it wasn't just in Europe either. We managed to win the Scottish Cup, beating Aberdeen 6-1 in the final. The Premier Sports Cup, we lost to Rangers in the final, which was a shame, but then in the Premiership, our first ever 100-point season as manager of the club, Celtic as the past winners since 2020 now, Anthony Soon-Suk-Bell, Marmoush as the best players in the division, Engels as well doing really well. What a season it was, only 2 losses, 3 draws. We have cruised to the title this year with some great performers, and at the same time we are raising this club to a new level facilities wise, and financially too, it is the same story. We're doing very well with what we've been given here. I think we're doing a very good job, and we are building slowly but surely to what will hopefully be an eventual Champions League win. It will take a while yet, but we head into season 5, which would have been our last season, but of course I'm going to keep this going till we win the UCL. With 26 million quid and £300,000 a wage budget, this is where I'm hoping if we can find the right players, we can elevate ourselves another level or 2 hopefully, and make ourselves a real contender. And in our 5th season here, I think our transfer business shows that we've been going on the right track all along, because this year, I felt like we didn't really need many improvements, but we had loads of sellable assets that we could make a lot of money from. Firstly, one of the failed transfers we made was Peter Ratkov, who's moved to PAOK Nauk in Greece for 500k, loaned out to Feyenoord in his 2nd season. We have lost a bit of money on him, but he never played for us, he never performed at all, so let's just say goodbye to that one. Alistair Johnson then moved on for 10 million. He's gone to play for Fenerbahce after some good service for us. He hasn't exactly been excellent, so to sell him on for good money, I think makes sense. Nicolas Kuhn has moved on as well at age 28. He's gone to play for Sturm Graz. He's been here from season 1, always contributing and doing pretty well in the team when called upon. Went to Cologne last season. If you combine them 2 fees that we got for him, it's over what the club paid, so we don't really lose anything, and we got a few good years out of the man. Christian Mosquera, you realise I haven't mentioned him since we signed him because it never really worked out, and now he has moved to Freiburg for 4 million. Again, with the loan included, we make our money back. Cameron Carter-Vickers also moved on, joining Al Rayad, age 30. He wanted a new challenge, and off he goes for 6 million quid, rising to 8. And Maeda, after plenty of years of service, has left the club. Also to Al Rayad, him and Carter Vickers can stick together at their new Saudi experience and hopefully do well for themselves. Coming in though, we have made some shrewd business in my opinion. Firstly, one of the best signings I'll ever make, I think a future England international, Ricky Pilbrow, an 18-year-old who is already good enough for the first team, we have picked up from Colchester in League 2 for 500k. Fair play to our scouts, I don't know how they found him, but he is unreal. We then needed a bit more homegrown talent at the club for Champions League registration, so I have bought in 28-year-old Robbie Dees, who is signed for us from Kilmarnock for 2.4 million. Kim Christian Hoyenhall, a 19-year-old goalkeeper, comes in as a backup to Chris Brady because Brady has had his injury woes in this save, so Hoyenhall is here for 3 million quid and the new gen goalkeeper could eventually become way better. And then I've added an extra number 10 with the signing of Gabriel Vidovic, a 24-year-old Croatian international who we have signed from Dinamo Zagreb, where he joined them from Bayern Munich. He's been great at in Croatia, so for about 10 million, I think he's going to be a nice addition. And our best 11 for the final season is a pretty interesting one to see. Chris Brady is still in goal and getting better too, but Missouri is now at the back with Zima and Navroki, who has managed to develop well enough to become a mainstay at centre-back, despite being a player that we loaned out in Season 1, who's been here from the beginning. Dorgu has Hatate in front of him, still here, alongside David Watson, who, credit to the man, we picked up from Kilmarnock for 5 million. I did not expect him to be so crucial, but he is the new Callum McGregor. Anthony Fidalgo Marmouche and Soon Suk Bell makes up a great forward line with the likes of Evian, Nordal, Brayfen, Macias, Engels. So many great talents all throughout the team. Lennon Miller is here too, another good young Scottish player who we're building around. If we have a look at the season preview, once again, we are expected to smash it. Our team is the best in the division by far, and now we hope all is going to go well. Lots of our players are already starting to make the favoured personnel list. Hopefully as the years go by, they can get even better. And if you have a look, we've also got lots of great players coming out the academy who could go to the very top. But now we head into our 5th season, again, with the aim of winning that Champions League. We're not quite there yet, but I want another year of progress, maybe this time a semi-final. Okay, Season 5. Bit of an odd one. Stick with me a second, I'm going to talk about our Champions League performance. So we started off in the league phase and we did fairly average, making it once again into only the knockout playoff round, not even auto-qualifying for the round of 16. Faced off against Udinese, we won, that's to be expected. But we drew Liverpool in the round of 16, I fully expected this would be the end of the road for us, but at Anfield we got a fantastic 3-1 result and we absolutely demolished them. It wasn't even a smash and grab and we went through. And off we went to the quarter-finals where once again it was Man City, a close run game last season. It looked like it was going to be the same again as they went 1-0 up, but at the Etihad, I do not know what went into us because suddenly we were unreal. We absolutely dominated them. They didn't really have any other chances, and I'm not lying to you when I say we went on to win that tie 8-3 on aggregate. We beat them at our stadium, we beat them at the Etihad too, and we were on a roll, putting us already in a semi-final, but this is where it got tough. Real Madrid. And to be honest, this is where we found our match. They absolutely dominated across the course of the game. Bellingham scored after 2 minutes, and they were proving to be a real threat. Yet somehow, despite surviving an onslaught of XG, late on, David Watson into the area curled it past Courtois. Now, being Madrid at the Bernabeu, they're never out, especially in a Champions League game, so Jurrien Timber, when he played it through to Mbappe and Arda Güler, it was kind of to be expected, they were 2-1 up. So Real Madrid have a 2-1 lead and they had to come to Celtic Park, a place that we made a fortress domestically, but in the Champions League, I didn't think it would prove to be one. Yet after only 10 minutes, we managed to level the scoring of the game on aggregate, Dorgu finding Vidovic, already making up for the transfer fee. And before we knew it, there was another goal, Zima from a corner, and we were leading Real Madrid in a Champions League semi-final. And that continued until the 40th minute, where we weren't just leading them by 1, but Evian found Watson, the Scotsman again curling past Courtois, what a player, and it's 3-1. And that meant we were now 2 goals ahead of Real Madrid. But of course, they're Real Madrid, they've got great players, one of which is that man Kylian Mbappe, who brought the score back to 1. But we were soon pulled out of dreamland. After a great performance in the game, Osimhen found Mbappe, a Zima mistake, and the game was level. So with extra time and penalties potentially looming, in the 84th minute, you can imagine the celebrations when Dorgu took it past 1, found Vidovic, into Evian, a deflected shot, and we beat Real Madrid, and that meant we were heading to a Champions League final against a club known as PSG. And to be clear, this is no fluke. We have absolutely beat some of the best clubs in the competition to get here, And Macias made it 1-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. Kvaratskhelia though managed to score on the 38-minute mark, and that took us all the way to extra time, where despite our best efforts, PSG managed to get the advantage. In the second half of extra time, Hernandez with a poor shot, but it went through the goalkeeper. And I mentioned we were here purely on merit and not luck, and I am not classing it as luck that in the 112th minute, Pilbaro, the man from Colchester, got us back into the game. So to a penalty shootout we went, and Macias scored. Up stepped Florian Wirtz, and he also bagged. Vidovic was up next, and his penalty went down the middle, before Sarr managed to tuck away for PSG. There was then a third goal from us with Anthony from the spot, but up stepped Ravella, and Hoyenhall made a huge save. But we couldn't capitalise on the young goalkeeper's save as Donnarumma saved Pilbaro's strike. Up came Saliba, and he scored his, and now it was sudden death, and Navrocki scored his penalty. So it all lied on Nuno Mendes and our young goalkeeper Hoyenhall, and the 19-year-old caught the ball, and that won us a Champions League with Celtic. I mean, we beat Liverpool, we beat Man City. Like, granted, we showed last season we might be able to compete with them teams, but the levels we've gone up, maybe just the players being so young, getting an extra year together has helped them. But City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, PSG, probably the hardest run to a Champions League you could have, and we have smashed all of them. And I've got to say, we can class a lot of it purely on our recruitment, because some of the players that we've brought in here have done amazingly well. Anthony, Marmoush, Engels, Soon-Suk Bell with 34 goals, a Thai international coming in from the Spanish second division. What about David Watson, the Scottish international, with 11 goals this year? What about Lennon Miller, who's also done really well for us when performing? Fidalgo signing season 1, now scoring 17 goals in a Champions League winning season. I mean, Vidovic, Sima, Missouri, Hatate still doing well with 11 as well. You can't ask for too much more than this. This is an unbelievable rebuild that we've done. I mean, the club is in a great place. Facilities-wise, reputation is in a massive, massive place too. Financially, we are smashing it, £200 million in the balance. Next year, we would have had £44 million to spend. Anyone over on Patreon, you can keep this success going. We've got money, we've got new gen players, we've got wonder kids, we've got an academy producing some of the best. And if we have a look as well, have any of our players made the Legends list? Not quite, but Callum McGregor is now considered an icon with Shinsuke Nakamura and plenty of others. James Forrest is up there as well. Anybody else want to make the list? It doesn't quite look like it, but the favoured personnel, it's all of our guys. It's us, it's Omar Marmoush, it's Evian, it's Maeda. Honestly, what an unbelievable season that is. I mean, you could see the way I was talking about it. I thought we needed another 2 or 3 years before we got there, but the sides proved me wrong. It is a young team. They are all stars in their own right, wonder kids throughout the whole team. But Anthony and Marmoush guiding a club to a Champions League, who would have thought it? But it's happened. There you go. That's our Celtic rebuild done. One of my favourite ones yet in terms of how it's gone. One of our most dramatic rebuilds yet. What a rebuild. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.